Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. Finally, a book about not getting a return on investment but return on spending. That doesn't make sense, does it? I don't know. I listened to the 5-minute sample on Audible. Believe it or not, that's something I do 300 books later. And it sounded like the author was discussing the use of money, not just for making more money, but what people get out of things emotional. Some spend money on travel for experiences, some on gifts for loved ones, some give it to charities or donate it to the local community, and it's all spent where it's spent with reason. The question is, how can we make sure that we're spending it on the most reasonable things? And the author said that he's thought about these ideas of making your life grow, not your money, but your life. He's thought about this for years and argued with his friends and colleagues about it. He's a guy who wants to live a life to the fullest and wants the same for us. It's not the type of book for someone who is struggling to make ends meet as it is for someone with enough money, health, and free time to put those resources to good use. So basically, probably not that many people, but let's talk about this. And just a brief overview of what you'll see in the description. There are affiliate links, and if you buy anything through those links, like maybe this book, then I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos. You can also find this book and many others on my Amazon storefront, and chances are any other books that I mention in this video I have reviewed, and I'll drop links to those reviews in the description as well. So affiliate links, Amazon storefront, and other reviews. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and I want to make self-growth normal, because people shouldn't have to look this information up. It should just be mainstream knowledge. If you agree, then please make sure to smash that like button. Chapter 1 is optimize your life. The question we all must answer now is how to make the most of our finite time on Earth. He said that coming from being an engineer, which I swear that after he mentioned this, I didn't hear him say anything about being an engineer for the rest of the book. He mentioned multiple things about like being a broker and working in finance. He doesn't see it as a lofty philosophical question. The 2,000 richest American households donate just 1% of their total wealth each year. Most of these people are elderly, by the way, and there's no way in hell that they can give all of it up before they die. Let's just face it. These people have way too much money to spend all before they die, whether they can give it away or not. Do they just get so used to keeping these massive cash reserves that it's like, whatever? I don't know. The story of how he came up with the idea for the book, though, it is ridiculous. In a good way, of course. It's one thing for him to say what he did to his doctor, but for his doctor to say, no, you should just write a book about this, is something else. And for him to actually do it, if nothing else is something else, that's like something else. Chapter 2, invest in experiences. He had a friend who made what sounds like it was an idiotic decision that turned out to be genius later on. And wow, just talking about this really hit me, like how this book could be so controversial. Like, take out a seemingly very irresponsible loan in order to take some time off work and go on the most insane trip you'll ever take, or continue to save up for it. Which one would you rather do? When you think about how long it would take to save up for it, the person who could do the first in a calculated way is probably the type of person who could much more easily become rich than others if they just put their mind to it. You imagine, right? I mean, he explains how memories are an investment in our future selves toward living a richer life, and that it's a big part of being present as a human being. Chapter 3 is why die with zero. The amount of people who live so close to zero that they might live for a long time, never fathoming dying with zero, is kind of scary, but it's alleviated by the reminder in the beginning about the book being mainly for people who are financially comfortable enough to invest in these experiences that the author talks about. He said people save for too much for too late, and most don't start spending what they spend more of their life saving up for, obviously, until much later in that life. He ran through a bunch of studies here to demonstrate to us that many people spend less money as they get older, despite working up a lifetime supply of savings for these grand experiences that they anticipate earlier on. Chapter 4 is how to spend your money without actually hitting zero balance before you die. It's a long chapter name for this book. The author said most insurance companies have a life expectancy calculator, which I've never heard of. That's admittedly not the most accurate thing ever, but it could at least give you an idea that nothing else would. And he constantly brings up that people will save their money when they're younger, even though it can cost $100,000 or well more than that just to stay alive when your body is deteriorating and you're hooked up to a breathing machine or something like that in a hospital bed and your family is making arrangements and whatnot. But people are still irrational about death even when they're nowhere close to death. Chapter 5 is what about the kids? What about the kids, Sam? What about the kids? The idea of this chapter was to give your money to charity or your children when they have the most impact. That's the thing. When people hear about dying with zero, he's saying whatever amount allocated, have that set aside and give that money to your kids before you die. Dying with zero does not have to mean literally spending all of your money on you. You get to choose how much goes to the kids, and there's nothing selfish about choosing how much of your money goes to your kids. The main benefit of this is that you can spend like mad and your kids still have their money, but he also talks about what age is ideal for your kids to be when they get the money. And there are some really weird studies that he went through with this part about what age people typically are when they receive inheritances and what age people would like to be when they receive inheritances. It is pretty unique. Chapter 6 is Balance Your Life. This was regarding not living your life on autopilot. One part that stood out to me was that when it comes to travel, the older people get, the more they can't travel due to health. And the younger they are, the more they can't travel due to money and time. He mentioned that assuming you have more money at 40 than 20, based on his experience, visiting Las Vegas at 40 is way better than visiting Las Vegas at 20. There were a lot of insights throughout the chapter on this specific topic. Not him going to Las Vegas when he was 40 instead of 20, just people being older and not being able to travel due to health, and people being younger but not being able to travel due to money and time. Health, money, and time really kind of wrestled with each other throughout the book, and it was fascinating to see how they did that. Chapter 7 is Start to Time Bucket Your Life. This chapter explores the practical implications of passing from one piece of your life to the next, and it gives you a tool called time bucketing to plan these experiences accordingly. You learn about the most common regrets people have throughout their lives on their deathbeds, like wishing you didn't work so hard or wishing you lived up to your own expectations instead of that of others. Chapter 8 is Know Your Peak. I got from this that you should know the limit you're willing to spend on an experience. That trip to St. Bart's that the author described did kind of sound like heaven. And it would make sense how people still mention to him how awesome the trip was. He still thinks about it regularly, etc. It makes sense why as well. The gist of this book, though, can be described, I think, by one paragraph here. Many of us are inclined to delay gratification, and the ability to serves us well. Being able to get to work in time, paying everyday bills, taking care of our kids, putting food on the table, these are the essentials in life. Delaying gratification is only helpful to a point. If you have your nose to the grindstone too much every day, you run the risk of waking up one morning and realizing that you may have delayed too much, and that extreme delayed gratification definitely means no gratification. Chapter 9 is Be Bold, Not Foolish. This book is essentially predicated on the fact that we are all going to pass away someday, and it wraps itself around spending on experiences that you will not forget. Experiences that are actually worth, in a way, investing in. It's a very unique concept and one that is not easy to put into words, and you can tell a lot of thought and conversation has gone into figuring out how. Like, it's obvious to me that writing this book was nothing close to effortless. Whether or not this is a bad thing, I don't know. I enjoyed the book for sure. The one critique I have, though, which is more of a concern than a critique, is for this book, with the advice it has, to be placed in the wrong hands. Spending more money than you have is almost without question ingrained into the fabric of American culture. Our country itself is in well over 30 trillion with a TR dollars in debt. Seriously, if you look on TikTok or Facebook and you see a post about a gorgeous island vacation in Jamaica or Bora Bora, for every single one of those posts there has to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments saying, I could never afford that. It must be nice. It seems to hope for a balance between money, time, and health in order to cherish these experiences as they happen. The book, it depicts, not paints, like makes it this fantasy, it depicts this whole ideal. But it revolves around time, though, because as money goes up, for most people, health usually begins to go down, and the nuances of what surrounds this, such as retirement, having kids, insurance, inheritances, and whatnot, those are covered in the book too, which was a fantastic idea on the part of the author. Again, like I said, plenty of time and thought has gone into the contents of the book. Overall, I wouldn't want it to get in the hands of someone willing to spend all they have when they're not making enough to comfortably recoup it in a timely manner. If you're not sure whether you're one of those people, I would suggest reading the book carefully. But it's definitely an interesting one. Quotes. No one will ever die with zero if they're afraid they'll hit zero before they die. If you die with $1 million left, that's $1 million worth of experiences you've never had. Focusing on money distracts from the hard truth that time and health are fleeting. When something feels abundant and endless, the truth is we don't always value it. Direction 1. Yikes. It's a tough one. Who I recommend this book to? This is probably the hardest direction one I've come across in a while. I suppose someone who has the money to experience things but isn't really sure how to go about it. Direction 2. There are not a lot of books like this one. Usually I review books endorsing the opposite philosophy, where it's like save as much money as possible and invest as much money as possible so you can make as much money as possible with the money you save. as possible. The closest thing I could come up with to this one in terms of like recommendations is probably Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. There's a link in the description if you want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books I mentioned in this video if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.